Before we really dive in to all the intricate details of performing SEO, let's talk a little bit about how search engines actually work. You use them all the time. You Google things night and day. I do, just about everyone does. But really, what's happening behind the scenes? It's important for us to understand that before we can actually optimize our content for SEO. So, what do search engines really do? Well, in essence, they only do two things. First, they go out on the web and they crawl web pages. They have specific software developed in order to go out on the web and crawl through every web page on the internet, believe it or not. How they do this is by following links. They land on one web page, they follow all the links of that page, they find links to other websites from that site, they follow all those links, and etc., etc., etc. That's why they call this crawling. The software they use to actually perform this, you may have heard before, and they call these tools and software spiders. Spiders like to crawl, these spiders like to crawl the internet. So the primary function of these spiders is to go out and find web pages. The second thing that search engines do is index those web pages. When you search Google, you're actually not searching the internet. You're searching Google's index of the internet. This is a huge database that Google has created with all of the information it's learned by crawling your website. The crawlers are moving through sites, following links, analyzing the site's content, and creating a map of that particular website, if you will, in its index, this gigantic database. When you perform a query, Google's searching the index, not the actual web. The second critical important thing that search engines do, not only do they crawl and then index the web, but what they also do is they answer queries. And by a query, we just mean a question that someone has posed to that particular search engine. What is the best restaurant in Syracuse? Where can I find good Thai food? These are good examples of queries. Google's job is to answer those queries for its users and to try to give its users the most relevant, the best, and the most targeted answer to that particular query for that particular user. Finally, what Google does, the last part of a search engine, is that it ranks. So not only does it answer your question, where's the best Thai food in Syracuse, but it also ranks those answers from the most relevant to the least relevant answer. And that's what's shown on the search engine results page. That's how you get ranked higher or lower, is by answering users' questions the best way possible. SEO plays a critical role in the answering and ranking portion of the functionality of a search engine. When Google goes out and crawls the web and stores that information in its index, it's important to understand that what Google is actually crawling is quite simply the text of your website. Google's spiders are incredibly sophisticated, but they're also kind of dumb at the same time. The only thing they can really understand on the web is text. That's why the words on your website, written in actual markup, HTML markup, are what's most critical when it comes to search engine optimization. That's all Google can understand. That's all these spiders can understand, is the text on your page. This slide shows how Google actually sees your website. On the left is a nice designed, pretty website with colors and graphics that we see when we browse a website in a browser. On the right, you'll see Google's version of this. This is what the crawlers actually see. And it's not quite as pretty, right? There's not as many bells and whistles. It's just text. This is all that Google sees, and this is all that Google indexes. So when someone does a query, you better answer that question in the text of your web page, not necessarily in an image or embedded in some other type of media that Google doesn't understand. Here's another example. Here's a Flash game where all of the content on the page is embedded in an animation. Looks pretty, very cool for someone to use, interactive, exciting for a user in a browser, but Google can't see any of it. It's embedded behind something it just doesn't understand. Again, all Google can understand is text on the page written in clean, clear HTML markup that meets standard specifications. When we think of what Google is actually performing, it's crawling, it's indexing, it's answering questions and ranking those answers. That is some incredibly sophisticated work that Google is doing. And if you think about it, they're doing it millions and millions and millions of times per minute for millions and millions of users all over the world. So Google has some pretty incredible horsepower behind this. They have data centers and computing power located all over the world. Thousands and thousands, if not millions of computers, processors, dedicated to performing these two key functions: crawling and indexing, answering and ranking. These data centers require tons of power. They are fast, they are secure, and they are located in the regions of the world in order to get users' answers faster, better, quicker. Here's a great video. You can watch it on your own. The link is in the lecture, to a guy named Matt Cutts. Matt Cutts works for Google. He's one of their chief engineers on their working on their Google algorithm, and he explains how search engines works really clearly in this video. One thing that's really important to understand about Google, how they function and how the business works, is that they protect their algorithms quite closely. So in order to answer and rank Google queries, they have a very sophisticated algorithm they have created. And that algorithm ranks pages on over 200 factors in order to get those answers to its users. This algorithm is secret. They don't tell anyone about it. SEO professionals try to figure it out. They understand parts of it. Google have told them parts of it in order to make sure that the algorithm is working best for users. But for the most part, it's a guarded secret. Nobody really knows how this algorithm works. So when this person, Matt Cutts, says something, everybody listens. He knows the secrets, and he gives people just enough information to drive the SEO world nuts whenever he puts out a video like this. Let's talk about the